Our 2024 presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy is here. So you were there, you spoke. We'll show you a little bit that in a second, Vivek. What was the atmosphere like, and why was it so important to be in New York City?
Well, look, I think it's a great signal that it sends to the country. We're not just running to lead red states, Jesse. Donald Trump is leading to run the United States of America, and that was on display last night. I don't follow the polls and I don't follow the pundits, but I do follow the energy. That was not second place energy in that garden last night. That was the energy of a kind of landslide that we're within reach of achieving. If you think about the only president who actually even visited, say, the South Bronx last time around, that was Ronald Reagan before he delivered a unifying, decisive victory. I think we're within striking distance of that. So coming out of that last night, I left with hope for national unity, far from a hate-filled stadium or whatever MSNBC says. There was actually a deep sense of, if I may borrow Kamala Harris's word here, joy. The joy was in New York City. Kamala Harris was missing out. And I think it was a beautiful thing to watch.
So Miranda Devine over at The Post is calling you guys the Avengers. Here's a flavor of the Avengers. Listen.
I'm not just MAGA. I'm dark, gothic MAGA. We're going to get the government off your back and out of your pocketbook.
A vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for economic hardship, high cost of living, poverty, and homelessness. And a vote for Donald Trump is a vote for economic prosperity and opportunity for every single one of us as Americans.
If you want to seal the border, vote Trump. If you want to restore law and order in this country, vote Trump. If you want to grow the economy in this country, vote Trump. If you want to revive national pride in this country, vote Trump.
When they couldn't beat him, they tried to bankrupt him. When that didn't work, they tried to impeach him. When that didn't work, they tried to put him in federal prison, and when that didn't work, they even tried to kill him. But as sure as the American flag still waves, Donald Trump still stands, ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to make America great again.
My fellow Americans, if you want what's best for your family and this country, you're going to vote Donald J. Trump as the 47th president of the United States.
I mean, you guys also had Dr. Phil. What, do you guys all just go on the plane together? You, Musk, Dr. Phil, Dana White, Tulsi, RFK was there. What's going on?
Look, I think that's true diversity, Jesse. The funny thing is the Democrats talk a lot about diversity, capital D diversity, which is shades of melanin. Well, you look at last night, you got men and women, you got every shade of melanin, you've got former Democrats on there who have now become independent-minded or Republican, you've got a South African immigrant who's the most successful capitalist in history, myself, the kid of legal immigrants who's founded multi-billion-dollar companies, a guy like J.D. Vance from a tough upbringing in Ohio to the second highest office in the land. That's true diversity. That's true unity in America. And I do think that people are seeing through the nonsense. You think about what's happened in this election cycle. You've had 2 assassination attempts, the swap out of the top of the Democratic ticket. The October surprise, we've got a few days left, but I think the October surprise is going to be the fact that there is no surprise. We're headed straight for what the people of this country demand, which is a government actually governed by the people, for the people, of the people. That's what Donald Trump's going to give us in that second term. And as successful as his first term was, Jesse, I think the second term is going to be far more successful, in part because of that diverse coalition and some of the most talented people on the planet who are actually going to make this happen.
All right, and Vivek can now all tell his children that he brought the garden to its feet. Congratulations.
It was a special occasion. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.